out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California has won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vang, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite.
Hey, good morning. How are you? It is, well, as you can tell by Henry the Camel, it's Hump-Day. Keon Brown joins us coming up. We're going to review the NBA draft. Chris Coleman from Tech Sideline. Get his thoughts on the new athletic director. And then we'll give you your Virginia Tech college basketball fix at 8. J.D. Byers joins us from New York. Assistant coach for Virginia Tech, as he was up there with Toby Lual. Good morning, Stephen. Good morning, Shannon. How are you? Welcome. Please subscribe, like, and share. What's up, T-Bird? It is Hump Day. See, that's why Henry's on the board. See? You got to admit, we're in the middle of the week, we're trudging along. When you see Henry, it kind of makes you smile, doesn't it? Yeah, makes me smile. What's everybody doing? So we got a lot going on today. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room, Professional Door Incorporated text line as we broadcast live from our family fencing studios. Get a free quote today, 540-282-94. We would love to hear from you. Professional Door, the text line is 540-391-0788. And, of course, we're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports Entertainment. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet and Tim Miller et al. And don't forget the bash is coming up for the Super Bowl. We're looking forward to that. 540-382-5525. That'll be on the 18th of July. Make your plans to be there. Thanks to Morris for all his work. And don't forget this weekend, they're going to have their backpack program starting at 10 a.m. All the proceeds are going to help out the schools in the area. Thanks to the Super Bowl. Yes, sir. Good morning, Prometheus. Lane, good morning. Savage Girl, good morning. Please subscribe. Thanks, by the way, to Lawson's Mobile Home Supply. James Lawson is at 540-381-8011. Parts for your windows, plumbing, all sorts of home stuff. 300 North Franklin Street. Sundown Electric, excellent reputation, 5-star rating, superior craftsmanship, attention to detail. Thanks to Sundown, the Smith brothers. They are one of the best community businesses in our region. Down in Elliston, ReadySetFund.com. Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Series of text messages. You and your organization can earn lots of money. If you need it for something important really quick, they'll take care of you. What's up, Jax? Good to see you. Glad to have you. Wayne is Savage Boy. You can call me Savage Boy. It's already taken. It's already taken, man. Sorry. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of this program. And, of course, me. Talked about them a lot. Ryan Pry, the BDST Fan Question of the Week, the attorney, 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. We're getting your take on who's going to win the World Cup. England is now winning. It's gotten 13 votes. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, Charles Lee and Company. Best in the business. Get your air units checked out for the warm summer months ahead. From Lane Stadium yesterday, where Tech announced their new AD in a whiteout. Let's pray to God Franklin doesn't lose his mind and change our uniforms to some goofy blackout. Yeah, isn't that amazing? They had the tour around the stadium and just happened to have a photographer there. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up. No, I kind of like that new moniker for you, Wayne. I do. I like that. Savage Boy. Complete departure from your actual personality of your Cleveland Browns. Not a lot of savage about them, but that's okay. That's okay. Everybody thinks I'm a police officer. Sorry, Wayne. All right, so we got to get into this about the NCAA here. And I want your opinion to see if you think this is going to take. Like, they pretty proud of themselves yesterday, right? The Division I cabinet was unanimous in their vote for a new model, giving players 5 years to play 5 seasons from when they enroll or from the season they turn 19, whichever comes first. What's up, Nicolene? Hello. Thanks for stopping by. Please subscribe. I thought Wayne was a poison boy. Oh, he's a poison boy, all right. So the NCAA, it's kind of funny that here we are. We have all these issues going on throughout college athletics, and it all seems completely out of control, right? And then, okay, there's a bot that's down. And yet, here they are issuing this new edict. And I just sat and you just roll your eyes. They are powerless to do anything important, right? They've accepted that because they know people are going to challenge them in court. But then they make a ruling like this as if they're the old NCAA that had a monopoly on everything, including athletes' rights. So now I wonder, as I sit here, two things. One, you sit back and you let everything get destroyed. You let your business model get completely out of hand. We're going to allow a player who had gambled so often that he had to finally come clean, he couldn't handle it anymore, back into the fold, if not for the conference who showed they had actual power. And now here you are, now all of a sudden saying, hey, this is going to happen. And then you see all the people, the shills, I guess, I don't know, acting as if, well, this is going to be great. Don't you think this is going to get challenged too? Now, I'm not saying it should be. I think it's common sense. We don't want to see 26-year-olds out there. I don't want to see guys playing 6-7 years and all these applications for another year, which, again, the NCAA pretty much brought into reality with the stupid additional COVID years. So it all got kind of screwed up. But for me, it makes sense. We all kind of want something. And maybe this is the first step, but does this mean that they're going to have ultimate power going forward? And I don't know the answer to that. My guess is no. But I wanted to get your take on all that. Yep. I see you, Daniel. Yeah, people talking about the video shoots yesterday for the new AD arriving on the plane. So we'll see if this sticks. We'll ask Keon about it too. Again, it makes sense, right? It's a thing that makes a lot of sense, but is it going to get challenged? I don't know why it would. This seems like a common sense thing, but we're talking about collegiate athletics here. And whenever we get into these rulings in the NCAA is kind of like the step parent that is not respected by the natural child of the other partner, right? And he tries to put their foot down as if they're it's kind of what the NCAA is nowadays. It just kind of, I don't know. But again, the rule makes sense. We'll see if it's implemented going forward. So when did an AD become a slumber? Yeah, that was interesting, the way they did that. Rolf sitting there on the plane with him, talking to him. Wayne knows how to stir a pot. Love it. By the way, Wayne, you must be at the BDST bash. He won't be there. Wayne won't be there. He won't be there. He'll be there in spirit, but he won't be there. Agreed, Prometheus. That's the goal, right? Because the universities make up the NCAA, right? That's what it should be. Yeah, I am. That's a challenge. That's a challenge. He won't be there. We'll all be there having a great time, and everybody's going to be going, "Where's Wayne?" And oh, he didn't show up. Coach Elmo will be like, "I wanted to really meet Wayne." No, I know, Coach. We tried. We tried. Hey, Malcolm, how are you on the professional door text line? Yes, I believe a lot of athletic departments are going to, I don't know if going out of business as you word it will happen, but yeah, there's going to have to be all sorts of things that need to be fixed. Yeah. Money's going to run out. I mean, Louisville was very, they made sure everybody knew what they were looking at. And I think it was a message to, I don't know whom else, constituents around their own school, I guess. But when you're already saying, here's our 2027 budget issues, we're $30 million behind, and we haven't even started the new fiscal, that's pretty telling. So, yes, you are correct. There's going to be a lot of, and universities are starting to say, look, we can't keep up. Yeah, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. NCAA let the genie out of the bottle. Now they're trying to coax it back in, right, which they can't. And I think now we have to look at this in absolutes. It's not if all this is going to crash down and burn. What's it going to look like after it does? Usually when things become inevitable and then they happen, then there's a natural acceptance of the reaction to it. So when all this collapses, and I'm not even going to say if anymore, when the current college business model collapses, and it'll be very, very soon. When it happens, as Mike Burnip said yesterday, right? This whole thing is going to be very interesting to me to see what the reaction is going to be. The haves and the have-nots. What will the haves do as a reaction? And I agree, Coach Elmo. He says, do you think Greg Sankey cares about Louisville's financial problems? Not a whip. The ACC is going to have a lot of schools that are going to be posting things like that because after this next year, when it cycles through, they're going to be so far behind on media revenue. The new Big 12 contracts kick in this year, and the ACC is going to be dead last, and Jim Phillips really hasn't done a damn thing to try to – not a serious thing to try to create more revenue, which is another reason why you're going to see, I believe, the first schools that are going to be plucked, that are going to eagerly go to the new expansion are going to be teams from the ACC. And we're going to go back to the same conversations we used to have. Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Miami will not be part of the ACC. Can't the NCAA just say, if you do this, you're not eligible for conference titles, playoff appearances, and forfeit their wins? The NCAA is in charge of it. They have no power to enforce any of that. You remember, they gave up any kind of influence over college football. As Coach Elmo talks about all the time, you won't see one NCAA logo or anything about the NCAA. College football playoff is controlled by ESPN, the networks. Think about that. Your biggest money-making sport, your biggest revenue-producing everything, has given up any kind of control over football. It has nothing to say about college football. Let that sink in for a second. Now that I say it, isn't it just ridiculous to hear? The NCAA has no power, influence over college football other than when they want to punish certain schools or players. Isn't it wild? Isn't it wild? Once everything gets past the shame and embarrassment of the ugliest of the crash, I'd like to think college athletics will slowly build back and learn from their mistakes. Well, yeah, and all football money goes to conferences. That's true. That's true. What's up, Low Country? Good to have you back. I said you had shared yesterday that Tech is safe with regard to expansion. I believe that would be the case. Again, you can't 100% say it for sure, but it feels like they would be, right? But they have been proactive because I think they thought about it a lot the last couple of years. Yeah. If Virginia market is tapped into, wouldn't they take UVA over us? I think UVA is attractive for a lot of reasons outside of, well, obviously outside of football. For Virginia Tech, you know, and people may not like this, but they're going to be attractive just because of football. Hey, what's up, Abby? Good to have you back. All right. And maybe that puts them in a better power lane than Virginia in some areas. But Virginia gets a lot of love from presidents. Virginia is more respected by the presidents than I think commissioners and ADs, because I don't know if you can ever count on UVA's brand all of a sudden making some kind of financial gain for your league. Right? Pink Floyd. Who was it that said? I think that was a long time ago. I think it was a little bit before Pink Floyd, T-Bird. That's funny. I love chat. But I think the ACC won't survive. I think it'll be the first league to completely have to re-identify or just go away. I think the only two brands that are going to stay, and it's a shame, are the SEC and the Big Ten. Talked about that a little bit with Todd. I don't know what it's going to look like. Like I said, I'm not even going to pretend to know what's going to happen in the future of it, but I do know I think we know enough. We have enough evidence to know that it's going to be bad. The initial collapse is going to be really tough. You had the stock market crash in the 30s and the Great Depression. Well, when all this finally crashes out and even the haves decide that they can't function anymore, then it's going to be very interesting to me to see what the rebound looks like. I mean, this thing just it's just not going to work. And I'll tell you this, even the haves know it's not going to work. Coach Elmo, am I wrong? The haves know this isn't going to work. They know eventually they're going to run out of money too. Everybody's going to run out of money. You can't keep running businesses the way that they are. You can't keep outspending your earnings every year and expect that money is just going to keep being recreated through donorship and all these things. How long are you going to be? All right, Abby, we'll see you back here. How long can you keep? Mike said it yesterday. How long can you keep tapping into the same donors over and over and over again? Eventually, that message is going to fall pretty stale. And I've asked that question, I don't know how many times over the months of this program. Why do you continue to give? Like To what end? Remember, money laundering scheme. It's pretty naive, I think, for a lot of these places just to think they're going to go out, start some kind of new program, name it something, and then be able to go to the same people and you're doing the exact same thing, except now they need even more money, more. And, you know, if I had the means, which I don't, and if I were somebody that had lots of zeros in his bank account, I think I would go, well, you came at me last year with the same thing, right? So let's talk about this a little bit. I think I'd have to ask a lot of questions, you know. And now you're asking for more. Well, what am I exactly paying for? And when did you see this thing finally leveling off? I don't know. We shall see. But I'm afraid we're going to come down to the baseball model soon, where it's only going to be a handful of schools that can actually keep up. Maybe 10, and everybody else is going to be screwed. I don't think that's not what any of this is supposed to look like at this level. But that's where we're headed. Joining us down on the program is that gentleman, Keon Brown, our basketball guru. What's going on, KB? Good morning.
Rick Watson, what's going on, brother?
How are you, man? How's everything going?
Everything's great. I can't complain about a thing. We're now 6 days away from summer school being over. I mean, come on, man. My real summer starts next week.
And then where'd you say you guys were headed? Y'all going somewhere? Where y'all going?
We're going to the beach this weekend, Virginia Beach. A little quick one. My birthday's Monday, so we're doing something.
No, happy birthday.
Yeah, man. Early one. I'll be working on Monday, though.
Old guy. Look at you. Yeah, look at you. Well, let's get into the draft a little bit. Hey, I sent you a text. I was actually shocked. The Wizards didn't wizard last night.
Yeah, man. They got it right. I think that they got the absolute best player that you could possibly get. AJ DeBance is going to be a player that's going to be a fringe superstar, if not a superstar in this league. He's going to be a guy who I can see leading them deep into the playoffs, deeper than John Wall, deeper than they've been in decades. He's going to be a guy. Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and now AJ DeBance makes the Wizards a team that's going to be formidable in the future. I think they're going to be really good. I think that, you know, you got to continue to build out that roster. But Alex Sarr is a guy who was the number 2 pick 2 years ago, who is really had a really good season a year ago. And now you make him that fourth guy, and he'll be a player that's going to be a Rui Hachimura type, that's going to stretch the defense, that's going to play off of the bounce, that's going to be consistent because you don't have to ask too much of him. That goes to your number 1 pick, AJ DeBance. That goes to your former number 1 pick, Anthony Davis. And that goes to Trae Young, who has led a franchise all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, even being a smaller guard. The Wizards are on the up and up finally. I told you a week ago, I got tickets to a Wizards game for $8 for the second row. Now those tickets are going to go up to $30. So they're doing something right.
Are teams like the Jazz and the Grizz going to look back at this and go, I don't know. Maybe, okay, so let's talk about Darren Peterson. You were kind of afraid the Wizards might go there, but there's another guard that was taken about 6 picks later that you're not sure shouldn't have gone ahead of Peterson, right?
Darius Acuff Jr., the guard out of Arkansas, the first player since Pistol Pete to lead the SEC in scoring and assists. I'm not sure Darren Peterson is better than him. I'm just not. I saw him in the tournament. Everyone saw what he did to High Point. High Point would have won that game if it wasn't for Darius Acuff Jr.
Yeah.
Obviously got blasted versus Arizona in the next round, but that kid has been amazing all year. When you see Coach Calipari and the guards that he has coming out of his programs, sometimes you just got to look at it and say, this guy knows what he's doing and knows how to prepare a guy to get to the NBA. When you think of the Devin Bookers, you think of the Tyler Heroes, you think of the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders, the De'Aaron Foxes, the list goes on and on of the players that he's coached, the John Walls, the Derrick Rose, the Eric Bledsoe, who've all had success in the NBA. Players like Darius Acuff Jr. is next. Unfortunately for him, he's going to Sacramento, and that's not a good look. That is a place where careers go to die, but I think he can be a player that turns that franchise around as well. He's phenomenal, and I'm not sure. I like Darren Peterson, and in the beginning of the season, he was the best player in college basketball. He really blasted onto the scene. But Darius Akoff, that man is something special. Sacramento got a good one. I'm not sure Darren Peterson is better than him.
Let's get into some forwards because
yeah, man.
I think Caleb Wilson's the best overall talent in this draft.
Could be. He could be.
If I'm sitting there and I'm the Grizzlies and I'm taking Cameron Boozer over Wilson, I think I fire my scouting department. I mean, I don't explain what you think their thought process was there. I mean, is it? I know I'm not saying Boozer's a terrible player.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's going to be the NBA impact player. I think Caleb Wilson could be. I think there's two guys in this draft that are going to be mega stars, and DeBancha number one, and I think Caleb Wilson's the other.
Well, I can see that, but as far as Boozer, you look at the history, he's always won. He was one of those guys who played AAU and never lost games. He's one of those guys that goes to Duke and immediately, fresh onto campus, is the best player in college basketball consistently, dominantly. And I believe that who his father was played a huge role in that, because also he'll be prepared for the NBA. He'll be prepared for the travel, for the practices, for the film sessions, whatever the case may be. I think he's going to be really good too, though. I know you're not as high on him, but my comparison is Paul Millsap. If he can have a Paul Millsap-esque impact, then I think that Memphis got a good one. Caleb Wilson is still a little raw. He's more athleticism than anything, but I think that you really couldn't go wrong with either pick. If you're looking for the athleticism, you obviously go with Caleb Wilson. But if you're looking for a guy who could be NBA ready right now as far as understanding how to play in the league, it's definitely Boozer. I think that this draft was so deep that it was really hard to kind of miss on guys, especially early on. You saw all those freshmen that were going. But I'll say this, you better have got it right, because the next two NBA drafts could be some of the worst NBA drafts that we've seen in recent memory. Off the top of your head, Rick Watson, do you know who Zachary Risacher is?
No.
He was the number one pick 3 years ago. He plays for the Atlanta Hawks. He is one of the biggest draft busts in the NBA has ever seen.
He was number one?
Zachary Risacher. He was in the draft with Alex Sarr, who we were just talking about for the Wizards. He gets DMPs in the playoffs as the number one pick a few years ago. That's what the upcoming drafts, the next two, so 2027, 2028 has a chance to be. It's going to be bad. So for as impactful and as historic as this draft was, you're about to see the opposite for the next 2 years, because there's not a lot of prospects coming out that you'll say, I'll even tank to get that guy. None of it's going to happen. So the NBA puts that anti-tanking rule out at the wrong time, because nobody wants these guys.
Nobody's going to be losing games. 7 guards of the first 10. That seems like a change, right? That seems like a real change.
Yeah, from 30 years ago. But I'll say this, Michigan won. They got 3 guys in the top 12. I think of Mo Johnson going to Dallas. You got Yaxel Lindenberg going to Golden State. And then Ade Mara, who stock rose in the NCAA tournament, the center, during the run that they had. So the Michigan Wolverines won, especially after Dusty May shocked the world and announced that he was leaving and going to be the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. Shocking move that we didn't see coming, but if you think about it, can understand with all of the uncertainty of college basketball right now.
Well, plus he's getting ready to get hammered with tampering. The Michigan's getting ready to get hit pretty hard.
If Michigan gets hammered with tampering, every program in the NCAA.
I know. It goes back to the NCAA. Yeah, I know. Selective power, baby.
Absolutely.
Selective power.
Absolutely.
What pick are we not talking about that you liked when you looked either the top 10 or right outside the top 10 of a guy who may have snuck up, or somebody who made a choice there that you kind of really liked?
So we obviously talk about Virginia Tech basketball all season long. And there was a point in the season where you and I were talking about the game that changed their whole season. And it was a game where they were up, I believe, 11 with about 2 minutes left at home. And they had to call another player daddy. The player that they had to call daddy was Buka Okori from Stanford. You remember that kid? He had 30 and took over Castle Coliseum. Castle Coliseum was his house on that night. I believe he had 30 points and he assisted or scored on all of the points in the second half. It was something like that. He's going to Detroit. He led the ACC in scoring. That's the pick that I think was the most impactful because Detroit needs a score, and they get a natural score in a Corey, and they steal him right in the middle of that first round. And I think he's going to make an immediate impact for Detroit, a team that needs scoring. He's going to be really good. He was the pick that I was really impressed with, and it just made the most sense.
Not a lot of international flavor in the first round. I'm just looking here. Kareem Lopez, Sergio Delaria. I mean, it was basically guys from schools. They may have been international guys in school, but it was kind of refreshing to see so many guys taken from college this year.
Yeah, wait until the next 2 years. You're going to hear a lot of international players because of the lack of prospects coming from the USA. It's going to be a lot of those guys in the next 2 years. And it's going to be a lot of those guys called tonight as well in round 2. But we knew this was going to come. We knew all these freshmen were going to go. We knew that it would be deep. We knew that, it will be one of the most historic draft classes, especially by American players. And, those guys just have to produce now. They have the talent, they have the skill, they have the hype. Now they have to come in and actually produce, which I think they will. I think AJ DeBance is going to be really good, as you mentioned. Caleb Thomas, obviously, is a guy who's going to be explosive as an athlete. This is a really good draft, and I think as long as you had a lottery pick, you really can't go wrong. It's just how you implement them in your system.
What's up, Eliza? Hello to you and your friend. Hey, so who blew it? Who completely blew it in the top 10 or outside the top 10?
I'll tell you 2 players who blew it, and I'll tell you why. Henry Visar from UNC, Malik Thomas at Arkansas. I'll tell you why. Those guys were projected to be first-round picks. Those guys also had the opportunity to go back to college. Now, when you're towing the line between late first round and second round, the difference between the two is a guaranteed contract. Since those guys fell out of the first round and now will be selected tonight in the second round, you're looking at contracts that aren't guaranteed and contracts that could be two-way. And since they're two-way, you know how much money you'll probably make on that two-way contract? About $650,000. You go back to UNC, if you're Henry Visar, you're making about $4 million. Yeah. You go back to Arkansas, if you're a guy like a Malik Thomas, then you're looking at about $4 million plus. Now you're looking at what the 8th man on a high major roster would get at that $650,000 range, just to say you're in the NBA. Sometimes the math don't math for me. Sometimes it's better to go back to college now because the money is there. The guaranteed money is there. You're going to get all the shots you want. You're going to get all the playing time you want. And now you go to the NBA draft and you fall to the second round where the contract isn't guaranteed and the money is a fraction of what you'll get had you stayed and played another season of college basketball. Those are the 2 guys that blew it. Now they got the scratch and claw to make a roster and not spend their year in the G League.
Is that agent fail right there? Do you fire your agency immediately because of that advice, you think?
It could be, but at the end of the day, the agent does advise you, but you make the final call. Sometimes you say, if I'm looking at these lottery projections and I'm the 28th to 30th pick, that means I might fall in the second round. That's what that means. Do I want to risk losing $4, $5, $6 million to return to a blue blood like North Carolina, especially with all of the hype coming in and with all of the change in the program? Or if I'm a Malik Thomas, Arkansas, we know how deep those pockets go. Do I want to risk that? Do I want to? They gambled, rolled the dice, and they got sneak eyes, unfortunately.
They did. They did. Man. Some other news, obviously, Giannis is now in Miami. Yeah. It seemed like a few years ago that would be a guy who would be going to be at one place, and you know what? I guess I should have known better. But what has happened there? We've talked about how he's still considered one of the top 5 players, I guess, overall. But
absolutely,
his impact is kind of, in terms of being a championship contender, what happened there, and how could the Heat be able to pull this off to get a guy like that now for what he hopes is going to be the restart of a championship career?
Well, 2 things have happened. I think that the first is injuries. He's been injured a lot.
Yeah, he has been hurt. Yeah.
I think that Miami has another 4 years of the only player in NBA history to average at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists on 60% shooting. They're going to get that. Now, how available he's going to be depends on a multitude of things. It depends on luck. It depends on your body breaks down, et cetera, et cetera. He's a guy who plays at 100 miles per hour, who plays as hard as anyone in the NBA. So his body could very well break down, but you know you're getting that effort. It also comes down to him being in Milwaukee. Simple as that. Who wants to go to Milwaukee? Be grateful of the championship that he won in 2021, because those are the championships from those smaller market teams that are hardly and that are rare to come by. And when you had a player as explosive as him, as talented as him, he might be the best player in the history of the Bucks. You're in a situation where you just got to be grateful that he played for you for 13 years and that he eventually wanted to move on. Now he's going to one of the best franchises in the NBA. He's going to Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley, who's been there, done that, and they'll be able to surround him with exceptional talent. And I don't think they'll be as dominant in year one, but certainly by year two, there'll be a team that's going to be right there for the NBA championship, especially coming out of the East, which is always an up and down league or conference.
And talking about future drafts, Prometheus just said the Bucks got 3 first-round picks. Shows you that Pat Riley doesn't care about what he sees going forward in the future, does he? Because he gave up a lot of future insurance for young.
Yeah, but when you swing for a player as dominant and as good as Giannis, you have to do that. You really do. You look at a package that a guy like a Mikal Bridges got, all those picks that, New York gave up to give him. He's not 20% of the player that Giannis Antetokounmpo is. So you had to pretty much gut your roster and gut your picks to get him. He's a player that's so dominant that he changes your franchise just by him being on the roster. It just comes down to you filling out the rest of that roster. And you still have a guy like Andrew Wiggins who can be a really good role player. You get Bobby Portis to come from Milwaukee to Miami with you. You got a lot of really excellent pieces over there in Miami. You keep Bam Adebayo over there. And now you just put yourself in a position where you just have to fill the rest of the roster out. Can you do that? We know Pat Riley's history. We know Expostra's history. They most likely can do that.
We're going to be talking to your former coach, JD Byers here, and he's got Toby Lawal in New York.
Yes.
Any chance Toby goes in the second round, or is he going to be ready? What do you think is going to happen with him today?
I think he'll be anywhere between 48 and 60. I think he's going to get drafted because of how explosive of an athlete he is. We always talk about Caleb Wilson. Everybody, if you watch any draft coverage, they're always going to say Caleb Wilson was the best athlete in the draft. He is not. The best athlete in the draft is Toby Lawal. That kid is, oh my goodness, that kid has Olympic type athleticism. I mean, can put his chest at the rim, take a dollar out of the top of the backboard type athleticism. That kid is unbelievable. And I think because of that, he'll hear his name called tonight.
I like that. I hope it works out for him. He's a good kid. I think JD's pretty high on the fact that he's got a shot. So
yeah, I think he's got a real shot tonight. I think he really does. All of the immediate talent is gone. You got one guy, and the NBA needs to do something about this. The green room is too many players back there.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got a guy like Isaiah Evans and Duke not even hearing his name called in the first round as well, being stuck in it. How embarrassing is that? That's just not a good look. He'll hear his name called today, but that's neither here nor there. But I think Toby Lawal is going to be a steal for somebody in that late, 50 to 60 range. I really do. Somebody's going to get a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
A lot of times in the NBA, it's pretty much about what your role is. Can you come into the NBA and be great at one thing? And I think one thing he can be is a defensive presence. And I think that as long as he goes to the right franchise, the right system where they can develop players into being what they do best, they can develop him into one of the premier NBA defenders because of how athletic he is and how long he is as well.
No, that's exciting. He's a good roster filler, isn't he? Like you said.
Yes. Yeah, man. You don't have to call any plays for him. He'll rebound for him because he's going to jump over everybody. Him being in the NBA, he's automatically a top 10 athlete already. It is what it is. Some guys are just blessed with that type of athleticism, and that's him. I was watching him at VCU. Sometimes I couldn't believe my eyes. You and I called the game there a few years ago when he was jumping over players, and it just looked like he was playing NBA Jam and everybody else was on.
He did.
He had a Tyson's mini hoop. I mean, it's unbelievable the athleticism of that guy.
What was it you said? Remember, he came out of nowhere, and I said, KB, where did he come from? You
Yeah,
said, I'm not sure. I think he left. I think he jumped from Northern Virginia. I can't remember what you said.
It's ridiculous how athletic that kid is.
This 5-for-5 rule coming up. What do you think? You think it's going to stick? Now, obviously, it's great common sense, but is anyone going to rise up now and challenge that?
I'm going to rise up and challenge it. Yes, you're going to rise up and challenge it. Absolutely. Can I get an extra year? These guys have such an advantage right now. 5 years? I mean, come on, man. Come on, man. I mean, God, you talk about jealous. That is me right now. I wish I could have got an extra year. I could have did so much with that. These guys have the chance to put their even if you don't become a pro in the NFL or the NBA, you put yourself in position to be successful outside of athletics with this rule. I finished my degree at Radford in 3 years. So if you can add an extra 2, you're looking at a master's degree for free.
Correct.
And you're in an athletic department, and there's pretty much anybody in Division I where they pretty much hold your hand through the academic process. You got a project or an assignment due, go to the academic center. They'll help you out. This rule changes so much, not just for the athletes in them playing, but guys who actually take their academics seriously as well. It's a really good look.
Well, and plus you're going to make some money, right? You saw a little extra, another year to make a little extra money, given where we are right now,
man.
Financially.
Yeah. So. Now you got to find a rule with the transfer portal and guys, continuously switching. Do something about that, and at least you're off on the right note. And then you won't have guys like Dusty May just abruptly leaving, right? You won't have guys like Coach K abruptly retiring. You won't have the Royal Williams. Those guys might still be coaching had it been the same. You never know. Those guys seem like they would never retire. Obviously, they did, but it's more so because of what the NCAA has become as far as this eligibility and the transfer portal. That's the biggest issue in college sports right now. Put a muzzle on that, and then you'll start being on the up and up. But until that changes, you'll still see what we've been seeing: guys tampering, guys going with the highest bidder, guys transferring every 6 months. That's what we get.
And finally, do you think they can follow this up? Let's say this sticks. Do you think they're ever going to be able to say, okay, well, no more free movement. You have to be somewhere at least 2 years.
That's what they need to do. I mean, is it that? Do it. I mean, what's wrong with it?
Nothing. I agree. I just wonder now, since they've allowed all this free movement, I don't know if that one would ever go through.
They need to. That's the one that, come on now, give us some type of consistency. I was talking to somebody the other day. They were asking me how I prepare for games. I say I always start in July, but it's so hard now because there's so much roster turnover that you gotta. It's just so hard to scout now. Even as a guy who commentates and analyzes the game, guys move every 6 months. You got to learn new rosters. But if you can do that, just say you have to stay at the school at least 2 years. If you decide to transfer, you get one free one. But if you go in conference, you still have to sit out. Something like that. It's something that you can do to slow down the bleeding. But right now, it seems like the NCAA is too far gone. And sometimes common sense ain't so common. And that's the NCAA right now.
No. It's like all the years they denied power to the athlete. And now that the athlete has it, they're too afraid to even challenge their own rules to get it back. It's weird. It's a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
It really is.
But that's where we are right now, man. I mean, this transfer portal has gotten out of hand, and you see what's going down at LSU and Will Wade and how he's getting all these former pros on his roster. I mean, do something, man. Come on now.
I know. Well, good stuff, man. Hey, 6 days out, summer school. The countdown is on.
Oh gosh, we're there. I think June is flying. It really is. I need July to just take it easy a little bit. So because I got to go back that first week of August. I need July to just slow down, dude.
Well, if you get a chance, the 18th is our bash up here. Yeah. So if you get a chance, if you're in the area, you want to take a little trip, everybody love to meet you. Everybody love to hang out with you.
That might be the move.
Well, let me know.
I got you.
All right, brother. Take care. Great stuff.
All right, bro. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Take care, man. I'll say, tell JD you said hello, right?
Absolutely. That's my guy. You know I love that man.
I know that. All right, man. Be good.
All right, brother.
All right, great job looking at the draft last night. Yeah, I think the Wizards got it right, and I think that Caleb Wilson is my favorite player in the draft. Yep, he is. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room or on the Professional Door text line. Chris Coleman going to join us here coming up in just a little bit from Tech Sideline. We'll get his take on everything that's gone down so far this week and what he thinks going forward. And we'll ask him about all this with this 5-year rule. And I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm for it. Anything that's going to help, but I don't know, man. The Sorsby thing, right? We haven't gotten into that. The NFL canceled its supplemental draft. It violates the collective bargaining agreement. Just read some stuff on that. And we said this kind of thing was going to happen, disassociating any type of temptation whatsoever to have somebody draft a guy who is so interwoven in the gambling. It is a bizarre situation. They've never decided to not have a supplemental draft, even though a lot of years it doesn't result in anybody being taken. It is really strange. But yet the NFL made that move yesterday. They made a statement about this whole thing. But will that stick? I don't know the answer to that question. Like, will the players' union rise up? I know Todd Grantham thinks they will. Is it even legal to say you're not going to conduct the draft because of the one guy who's out there? Would anybody even bother to take him? I don't know how you could. I know quarterback talent is in such demand and everybody's trying to look for that diamond in the rough. You get somebody in the supplemental draft, your contract's friendly. But how in the world could you ever trust that guy to be in your huddle? And that's what it comes down to me. We talked about it when he was still up for grabs, maybe to play college football, which seemed ridiculous. It seems even more ridiculous now to think about anybody running out there in an NFL locker room without anybody going, why is this guy on our team? So I don't know. Keep an eye on that. That could end up going the other direction as well. But the NFL is not going to have a supplemental draft, or at least they announced it yesterday. Bizarre times, man. Bizarre times, to say the least, when you see all this unfolding. But again, it's the environment that's been allowed to just encapsulate itself throughout sports. You partner up with casinos and gambling apps. What in the world do you think is going to be the outcome? I mean, again, the fish rots from the head. I'm amazed that so many people make so much money and they have this high opinion of themselves, right, because of the lifestyle they lead, yet they don't know what in the holy hell they're doing. They have no respect from their peers because people know they're just overpaid figureheads, yet those decisions lead to all these horrible results. It's collateral damage, right? Not so collateral because it's bringing down the entire institution of sports. Major League Baseball is about to go into an entire year where they're not going to play next year. Well, Prometheus, some people have said they didn't necessarily mention Philly, but they agree with your thinking that maybe he can go to an organization that can, if somebody believed in him enough, and I don't even know how good he is, to be honest with you, and maybe get rehabbed from a professional team on the practice field, never being active until and if somebody cared about it and believed in him enough, maybe that's the way you would ease him into it. So I think your hypothesis is what I have seen that was posted yesterday. So that's a good thought. I wouldn't want it. I don't think it can happen. He's already saying that he's having trouble not always thinking about the numbers during games. So, I mean, it's just like any type of other addiction, man. You got to work on yourself. Maybe you could do some kind of conditional thing to where you're going to have to spend a year. Here's the program we're going to assign you. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that when you look at it, if I'm a GM or if I'm a wide receiver or a linebacker and I'm going, what happens if we're playing and this dude decides to throw the ball about 2 steps behind, and everything you do is going to be under such scrutiny. Why did he fumble on that scramble? Nobody was near him. He just kind of knocked the ball out of his own hand. I mean, that's what you open yourself up to. So, yeah. So that happened yesterday. A lot went on yesterday, man. A lot went on yesterday. But we'll see if any of it sticks from the NCAA perspective. Baseball running, ducking, putting its tail between its legs, issuing several apologies. They feel in the heat after they attacked Christianity and one religion. You talk about lack of any self-awareness. Roger Goodell is a horrible, horrible person, and he makes his owners billions. He doesn't care about the good of the game, but when you see what's going on in baseball, I don't know what in the world. Everybody wonders how easily football was able to overtake baseball as our national pastime. And then you see how it's being just completely destroyed from leadership on down. The players' union doesn't have apt leadership. And now we're going to probably not have any sense of a 2027 season because of they don't have a salary cap. They've let it get out of control. This deferred money. There's no salary floor to keep owners from just saying, hey, what do we care? We're just making money. It is an absolute mess. And Major League Baseball has done all this to themselves. Rob Manfred has done all this to himself, eliminating minor league teams, changing the draft around to where every decision, just like in college athletics, every damn decision is worse than the one it was before. And these people are making 7 figures. Make it make sense. So J.D. Byers joins us at 8 from New York with Toby Lawal. That's going to be good stuff coming up. Joining us now on the program is that gentleman, Chris Coleman from Tech Sideline. What's up, Double C? Good to see you, man.
Yeah, twice in 1 week, man. How about that?
I got to have you on, man.
Must be a lot going on. There's
a lot going on. Well, let's get right to it. We said on Monday, I heard some rumblings. Didn't necessarily expect it to go the way it went, but we felt like the athletic director would be announced at Virginia Tech, and it was. And people seem to be excited about the pedigree. What are some of your initial thoughts as we got to get to know Brian White now going forward?
I think it's maybe kind of the first family of college athletics, with his dad being a longtime AD at Duke and Tennessee and Arizona State, his brother being the AD at Tennessee, his other brother being the head men's basketball coach at Georgia and Florida. I mean, he's been kind of groomed for this since he was born, growing up in the household that he grew up in. He's got to be the most experienced 42-year-old athletics administrator in the country, not only from 8 years at FAU as their athletic director, but just the experience he got growing up in his dad's household. And as much as Christmas is probably pretty interesting in that family because those guys, get around and probably talk about all the issues in college athletics. And, he's not going to be taken by surprise by anything. He's going to come in with a very good idea of the landscape and how Virginia Tech fits into it. So, I think it's a good hire. I think it's just, it used to be though, Rick, you hire your AD and that was a big deal, and that was kind of it. He would hire his own people, and boom, there's the athletic department. These days, the athletic director at Tech is just one part of this giant machine where you've got Hokie Ventures, you've got obviously more alignment from the university side of things, so they're more involved. You've got the athletics oversight committee. So there's just so many more pieces to the puzzle these days, and it's going to be about all these how all these people fit together and work together. One of his first tasks will be working with University Advancement to hire a head of the hockey club, and I think they're already down to their group of finalists, or at least semifinalists, and I think that decision should be made in the next couple of weeks.
Well, and I think you're exactly right. And it's not just at Tech, but that role's changing everywhere, isn't it, Chris? The athletic director, and especially in this instance, because, James Franklin, it's his show. This was a guy he had to be comfortable with, and that's what it came down to. The type of personality that White has fits with Franklin. So you're right. He's coming in, but, this isn't Dave Braid or Jim Weaver walking around, right? It's different. It's different.
It's totally different. And the job of an athletic director is so big these days. It's so business focused these days. And athletic directors were trained in administration, not business. Right? Some of them happen to still be good at business, but you get kind of lucky when you get one of those guys. They don't grow on trees, and you shouldn't really expect them to be good at that, because that's not what they were trained to be good at.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I wasn't trained to be good at, so I probably shouldn't be good at them. So, and I'm not. So I think it's a good idea, forming this Hokie Ventures, and, let him basically focus on the administration of the athletic department. Of course, he'll be involved in plenty of things, sponsorship deals and things like that. He seemed to show a pretty astute mind for that down at FAU. But at the same time, you're going to have other people that are really leading the charge on that, and splitting up those duties in this day and age, I believe, is a good idea, because I think Witt was overwhelmed by it. And I think over the last 5 or 6 years, you could just tell he was tired, man. He was tired. He just looked tired, and he looked done, and didn't hire himself enough help as far as his associate AD roles go. So, that'll be White's first task, is to start. He'll probably fairly soon bring an assistant or two with him, but the rest of it's going to be a year-long process of turnover within the athletic department. That's about the timetable we got under Witt when he first got to Tech.
Yeah.
That's probably what we can expect under White as well.
You think this is going to breed finally a naming rights deal for Lane Stadium? Feels like that's the natural thing, right? Mike Burnip was speculating about that. That might be one of the first announcements in terms of corporations. I don't know.
I doubt it.
Really?
My understanding, unless my information is incorrect, my understanding is that English Field, Castle Coliseum, and Lane Stadium, all right, those families whose names are on those buildings got primary naming rights as part of the deal. That's why it was English Field at Atlantic Union Bank Park, right?
Yeah, there you go.
And that's why it's Carillon Court at Castle Coliseum, right? And ultimately, Atlantic Union Bank dropped out because without primary naming rights, they were not getting the number of impressions they were looking for.
Sure.
And so instead, they moved on to James Madison, where they got primary naming rights to the basketball arena, the entire arena, which is why I do not want to renovate Castle. I want to build a brand new basketball arena where you can sell primary naming rights to it. So Alabama's Bryant-Denny Stadium, right? They're still Bryant-Denny Stadium. Why aren't they NVIDIA Stadium? That's Alabama football. You tell me they couldn't have sold naming rights? Of course they could have.
No question.
But I'm guessing all those old contracts to those old stadiums around the country were written in the same way, where the family has primary naming rights, and there's no way to get around that. So I just think you're stuck with what you got, most likely. I think there's some creativity you could do. Maybe you could buy out the contracts with the families and make more money that way long term. I don't know. Maybe there are creative solutions, but it's not like you're seeing stadiums around the country getting renamed. Kyle Field is still Kyle Field, right? Bryant-Denny Stadium is Bryant-Denny Stadium. Lane Stadium is still Lane Stadium. It's not because people don't want to sell naming rights. I'm guessing it's because they can't, because of those old contracts that were written back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, when those stadiums were built. Now, he sold a naming rights deal for the FAU stadium. That's the biggest naming rights deal in their league. But that stadium it was built in 2011 or 2012. It didn't really have a name. There was no primary rights to deal with it. So he had a clean slate to work with. So that's why new construction these days is better than renovation, because you can build a new basketball arena and have clean slate for your naming rights. Whereas if you renovate Castle, it's you don't have that.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's why you see all the NFL stadiums with the corporate names, right? Because they're not created
they're
that
new.
way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wayne asked Chris, well, you kind of did, but can you explain what you think the new AD duties will be? Is he in charge of all sports, or is he just there kind of looking at football, or is it just all sports and not really football?
He's going to have a traditional AD's job. Like I said, I think they're splitting up the duties with Hokie Ventures handling a lot of the business aspects of it, or certainly part of the business aspects of it. He'll hire an administrator to oversee football. I think that's Danny White right now, whether that remains Danny White or not. Not Danny White, his brother, Danny White that works at Virginia Tech. There's two different Danny Whites here. It's funny to think about. Right. But yeah, Danny White's doing that right now for Virginia Tech. Whether he continues to do that a few months from now, we will see. But he's got a whole athletic department to run. He's got a whole athletic department to, in some ways, restaff. He's got to rebuild the athletic department. Like Whit Babcock did not have enough associate ADs under him. He had too many people doing multiple jobs. Brad Worthman doing multiple jobs, Danny White doing multiple jobs, and it shouldn't have been that way. And it just increased the workload for everybody and decreased efficiency in the end. So he's got to restructure that athletic department. That's the main thing. You're not just thinking about, what am I going to do with football? What am I going to do with basketball? He's got to think about, how do I get my athletic department itself up and running in an efficient manner? And honestly, that's step one for him. Football's taken care of him for right now. He's all about support, right? How can we grow the brand? How can we better our marketing department? How can we better our advertising? Things like that. The football hire, the table is set for him there. Where he'll make the biggest impact at Virginia Tech, at least over the next few years, is how he staffs the athletic department, how he sets it up, how long until Mike Young retires, and then when he's replaced, who does he get replaced by? Stuff like that. That over the next 2 or 3 years, those will be his biggest things. Football, like I said, has already been set up for him. Basically, he just needs to improve the infrastructure in the athletic department so that football can, I would say, achieve its ceiling.
Yeah, that's a great point. The CEO of football has already been in place for several months.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any changes there. What do you think of this? The NCAA, the 5-year rule? Sure, it makes a lot of sense, right? Is this something you think is going to stick, or are we going to see here comes more litigation because the NCAA is behind it?
I'm sure it'll be more. Somebody's going to sue somebody. I don't see how that doesn't happen in this day and age. It seems to be the popular thing to do. I think it'll probably stick. I mean, people have been pushing this for a while. Like Beamer was even pushing for it before he retired. I am an advocate of age caps. I'm not an advocate of 26-year-olds playing college football and all that. A buddy of mine texted me something funny yesterday. He's like, "Hey, can we get like the national championship in 99 retroactive because Chris Winky's ineligible now?" Because he was, what was he, like 27 years old, 28 years old?
They have to forfeit.
They got to forfeit because they had an ineligible Chris Winky, right? But it should be set up that this is supposed to be about college athletes, and and I'm not an advocate of who knows how it has to get put into effect before we see how it really works. I know some people are like, "Oh, there's no more red shirts." Well, I mean, that's not really going to change. Yes, they're not going to be called red shirts, but unless he wants to get fired, no coach out there is going to start pulling juniors and seniors off the field just to play a true freshman, unless that true freshman has earned the right to play.
Yeah.
Which, let's be honest, most of them don't. The vast majority of them do not. And so I don't think it's going to change much from a development standpoint, but hopefully it leads to some more stability. But in the short term, it could lead to more lawsuits, like you said. Who knows?
Well, it could be. Well, I just know I got so sick and tired of hearing about guys, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and apply. I'm going to court to see if I can get my 7th year." it's mind-blowing to me that that's the mindset. But, hey, they're making money now, right? So they figure, hey, I can't play at the next level, so let's go get another seven-figure check.
Sure. And so far it's working, so I can't blame them.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes going forward. What do you think about the NFL saying no supplemental draft, Brendan Sorsby? Sorry. This is going to be interesting to see what the reaction of that's going to be.
Yeah, speaking of lawsuits, right? So, like, you get in trouble and you sue, and then people actually stand up to you and, oh, I can't play. Now I'm going to go to the NFL. Oh, they're not going to hold a supplemental draft, so let me sue them. Dude, you messed up, right? You messed up. Just quit paying your lawyer for clearly who is not helping.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Ofer, yeah.
I don't know what the lawyer fee is, but he was originally hired to make sure Brandon Sorsby could play college football this year. He's not playing college football this year. He's still getting paid for all those hours, I assume.
Yeah.
And now he's suing to try to get him in the NFL. And let's face it, you honestly think he's going to make an NFL roster without playing football this year? He's not an NFL-style quarterback to begin with. You know, he's like a more advanced Kyron Drones. I think he's a great college quarterback, but I don't know that he's an NFL guy. But again, it's just going to be more another lawsuit, more lawyer fees, and in the end, is it going to get him in the NFL? Because what that lawyer's told him to do so far hasn't seemed to work. It's just more attorneys' fees. That's who's winning all this is attorneys. You should have got into sports law, Rick.
No, right? We talk about our next case.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's still getting his money apparently which is
and that's stupid on Texas Tech's fault. I mean, how do you not protect yourself in a contract to say, I don't know, could you call it gambling a morality clause? I don't know. Because I mean, I don't think it's immoral to gamble. I've gambled myself, but you've got to have something in there. If you break rules and you're ruled ineligible to play, you're not going to get paid. So that Texas Tech guy who's paying him, like, he's part of the problem. Like
100%.
Yeah, well, yet he's going out here to Congress. Oh, please save us from ourselves. Why don't you save them from yourself? Stop doing what you're doing. But you know, that's not my money. It's not my place to tell other people how they spend their money. But you know, if I don't know if that guy has kids, but if he does, I'd be like, Dad, you're really throwing my inheritance down the drain on this quarterback who's not even going to play for Texas Tech this year.
Right. Yeah. I've seldom remember athletic departments looking worse than Texas Tech has during and in the aftermath of all.
Yeah, they just like professional wrestling, like a total heel turn out of nowhere, right? I used to always kind of like Texas Tech.
I know, right?
Now that it's like now they just pulled a Hulk Hogan and they're back just like that. Where'd that come from? Yeah,
it's NWO night. It's
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. But hey, here's the thing: if they're going to make that turn, own it. Right? Start being the bad guy. Don't pretend to be somebody that you're not. And so if they do that, like Miami doesn't pretend to be the good guy, do they? Like,
no.
Miami owns being the bad guy.
This is who we are.
I can respect that.
100%.
Yeah. So if you want to go down that route, that's fine. Just own it.
It's when Al Davis was still around with the Raiders. We know who we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, come take it from us.
Exactly.
I know. Mark asking on our professional door text line, Chris, now that you've gotten into the previews at Tech Sideline a little bit, do you have a better feel for how many wins you think Tech could end up with?
Thanks, not really. You know, Andy's writing those previews, not me. So far, I think he's only done the first 4 games. And my view hasn't changed. From reading his previews, my mind hasn't changed any. Maryland could be a little bit tougher, but I think they brought back a lot and added a little more than I thought, and their quarterback will be more experienced this year. But at the same time, Maryland, the overall trend at Maryland is down.
Yeah.
I feel like on paper, Virginia Tech should win the first 4 football games. But They also, I say they, when I say they, I mean James Franklin and his coaching staff and a lot of the Penn State players that are joining Tech's program, they should have beaten UCLA last year too, right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So, they've had some head scratching losses over the years to Illinois and some other teams like that. Overall, excellent, very good coaching staff that's won a lot of games, but they're not without blame of dropping a game that they probably shouldn't have dropped every now and then. So I think on paper Tech should start 4-0, but I wouldn't go to Vegas and make that bet.
Yeah, right.
So I've been 8-4. Now I'm maybe straddling the 8-4, 7-5 fence. I just don't. There's still so much unknown for this team, and now that for a fact that you've lost Emmett Laws. We don't know how long that will be, but I wouldn't anticipate him playing this year. That's just my guess. And so you've got depth problems there. How much of your linebackers improved? How much of your safeties improved?
Right.
Outside of quarterbacks, I think almost the whole defense is a question mark.
Agreed.
And it's just strange territory for us to go into a season feeling better about the offense than the defense. We're not used to that as Virginia Tech fans. But even though we feel better about the offense than the defense, we look at the offensive line and we're like, holy crap. They were awful. That was the worst offensive line in Virginia Tech history last year. And that says a lot because we had a few bad ones back, about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Real bad ones, right? And this one was worse. So how much do they improve? They can improve a lot and still be average to below average, right? And that's how bad they were last year. So as much as I think Tech will be improved at the other positions on offense, how much will the offensive line drag it back? Because if your defense is average and your offensive line drags your skill position groups back on offense, you're not going to win that many football games.
Well,
right?
That's right.
So those questions have to be answered. I think most of the questions will be answered positively, but I don't think you're going to go out there and just start blowing people's doors off just because you had a good recruiting class and one good portal class and James Franklin's your football coach. I still think Virginia Tech is another year or two away here. I mean, most of his transfer targets were younger players that he's going to keep for multiple years for a reason. Yeah.
No, I agree. And I've heard similar thing. The defense seems to come up more often when I talk to people around it a little bit about. We'll see. You got to find some guy. Bud Foster said we got to find some players now. They look okay, but does he have?
Yeah. I mean, you can look the part. That doesn't mean you know how to play football. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Tech has had some linebackers through the years that looked like Tarzan, but didn't play like Tarzan. And then they've had some guys like Jack Tyler, who he would not be the first guy off the bus, but he was a great football player.
Absolutely.
George Del Rico. Derek Hopkins at defensive tackle. You would never guess that guy was a college football player, but they were great football players. And then you've got Nick Acree, who could, win a bodybuilding contest, but couldn't play football.
Right.
So I agree. Tech looks the part more now, but how many of those linebackers are natural linebackers, right? And how many of those safeties are going to step up because they were bad last year collectively? So still a lot of question marks, man.
Hey, one more for you here from another Mark. Hey, Chris, have you heard anything about how Ricky Ronnie replaced his talent at Old Dominion? I haven't heard much about any of the guys that he brought in.
No, I feel bad for programs like that because they were just starting to get it rolling last year, and that quarterback is good. But at the same time, that's the way it is these days. And,
it is.
And that quarterback's making a lot more money. I think that'll be hard for him to replace. Had a number of good players on there, not just the quarterback, but let's face it, that quarterback was very dynamic and he made things tick.
Yeah.
I can't foresee them being as good this year because I think at a program like ODU, it's really hard to just reload like that. I just doubt very seriously their NIL budget and all that is good. Even for a program at their level, I doubt it's good. I think Ronnie did a good job to assemble the team that he had. Now, whether he's got enough resources to replace them, I guess we'll find out. But I'm not saying I think they're going to be like terrible or anything like that. But I'm not right. It's hard to say concerning what they did to Virginia Tech last year. I mean, what a rout that game was, but I'm not expecting much trouble from that game. Maybe I will look really stupid in a few months.
No, I'm with you. You're right. It's just he was there, finally turned the corner, and then it's like because of the success. Well, guess what happened? We lost over half the starters. So
he's one of those guys where he'll get so tired of this, and he'll be like, you know what? I'm tired of making less money to be head coach at Old Dominion than I'd be making as a coordinator somewhere else, right?
Yeah. He could eventually join the staff here, right?
Yeah, who knows? So he's one of those guys. Like we saw the Boston College coach. He's like, nah, I'm done. I'm just going to go to the Packers as coordinator.
That's right. That's right.
Instead of coaching this program that's impossible to coach these days. So Ronnie could be a guy in that category one day. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, and it paid off for him. He's now the head coach of the Dolphins. Good call. We had a good call.
Yeah.
Well, brother, great stuff as always, man. What do you guys got coming up podcast-wise this week?
Well, I think we might probably done with podcasts. Yesterday's was kind of an emergency one because, poor Nick Brown is moving into his new house this week. It closed in his new house. This was the big move-in week, and then boom, Virginia Tech announced.
And then this happens.
And this happened. So we had to pull him away from, his wife's probably not happy with us, blocking a good chunk of their move yesterday to do that podcast. So we got to give Nick the rest of the week, and he's the only one of us that can produce a podcast. So I think we're done with the podcast.
You're done for a while. Okay.
Good. Yeah. Well, for this week, we'll have plenty of more content. We've got the press conference this morning with the new AD and a number of guys, and we'll be over there covering that. So we'll have content coming out from that for sure.
All right. Well, good stuff. Well, thanks always, brother. Appreciate you, man. Good stuff.
Hey, thanks, Rick. Appreciate you having me on, bro.
Have a great week. Thanks, man. Take care. Yep. There you go. Chris Coleman, best. Absolutely. Good stuff from him. Good stuff from Chris. Always great to hear from him, his takes. Good as well. He makes a great point about the stadium, If it's grandfathered in, you may not have that corporate thing. You got to work around that, buy it out. Somebody go spend the money to do that. Good questions for Chris on the professional door text line. JD Byers joins us. We're going to get caught up everything Tech Hoops coming up from the Virginia Tech basketball assistant at 8 o'clock. Yeah, a lot of concerns about the defense. There's been one consistent thing that I've heard about the makeup of this 2026 team going into August. And every one of them, from people who know a hell of a lot more about it than I do in terms of this personnel, are saying the same thing about that side of the football. Family Fencing is the sponsor of our studios here in Reiner, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Mark Hundley, 155 Walters Drive, McClellan Chiropractic. He's the best chiropractor in the area. Let him go and correct you exponentially. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to all those wonderful people there. Track is doing very, very well. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Look for the black and blue vehicles. Let them come and service your air units for the hot days coming up. We're going to get July, August. Humidity's coming. Make sure you're covered and you're energy efficient through Little River Heating and Air. The BDST fan question of the week is brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry. 701 West Main Street in Radford. National Bank member FDIC. My exclusive banking partner should be your exclusive banking partner and the show's exclusive banking partner. Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors, family owned and operated, 38 years in business. Sponsor of our text line. 40 years in business coming. It's actually 39 completing, 40 coming up, and we got some great stuff we're going to share with you from Travis and Professional Door. ReadySetFund.com. Check them out. Read up on it. It's really cool. I know I did, and it's you can raise money in a hurry that you need for your organization. Of course, nonprofit, so you're not just able to say, "Hey, we need money for this." But Floyd County Softball raised $4,300 this past year, breaking the record from the previous year. Reach out to Bob Christ. The Smith Brothers at Sundown Electric, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, testing to superior craftsmanship, attention to detail, clear communication, 5-star reviews all the way around. And we're going to have our bash at the Super Bowl, and we are excited about the Super Bowl. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget this weekend, I remind you, bowling for backpacks. And that's on the 27th, starting at 10 a.m. All proceeds are going to go to support local schools. It's awesome. So go spend some money there and help them out. Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, 540-381-8011. Parts for your home, your windows, your doors, 300 North Franklin Street. Thanks to all of our sponsors. You're the best. Top Shelf Apparel, Brandon. Just awesome. Good stuff, man, all the way around. Thanks to everybody. Couldn't do it without you here on the program. Could not do it without you. Now, the concern is the starting 11. It's not just depth. We'll see. Nobody's questioning the athleticism. Again, this kind of goes back to being an athlete. Yeah, Emmett Laws is a big loss. That's kind of hit hard. And he won't be there, Chris. People have asked me. He won't be there this year. That's a massive loss. That's a massive loss. So we'll see. A lot of questions. I think Chris's point's well taken. It's like, hey, hello, how are you? How many times do you go into a season where you feel much better about the offense than you do the defense in Blacksburg? That's kind of the case right now. It seems to have more questions answered on offense, in particular because of the quarterback they have coming in, than they do on the defensive side. So we'll see. We shall see. I just looked it up, by the way. So Old Dominion, Jackson Potter is a transfer from Washington State, is their new quarterback. Isn't that interesting? They have two guys, Jackson Potter and Quinn Hinnkel. So Potter was the MVP of the Cure Bowl. So that looks like that's their new quarterback, because Colton Joseph went to Wisconsin. So I was curious. And this other guy, Quinn Hinnkel, is a redshirt sophomore. So looks like you'll see Jackson Potter or Hinnkel in game 2 in Blacksburg. I don't really know much about either one, but, at least now we have some names. I get a lot of questions about Old Dominion. But Jackson Potter looks like he's in the lead, and he's played at a, pretty high level at Washington State. So there you go. Those of you that were asking Chris on the text line. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, it got popped off there. Sorry about that. There you go. Sorry about that, Rodney. Yeah, the comments are good. Agreed, Tebow. Yeah. It's about the offensive line, isn't it, man? I agree with you. That's always going to be a concern until we see it. I think skill guys are going to be just fine. Can they find the 5 up front? That's the key, man. Keep guys healthy. If they do start performing, that's always been a problem. That's a problem across the country. You have your depth, and somebody gets hurt, and you just don't have enough rotational guys you can count on to come in and give you 2 or 3 starts if needed and be consistent. That's what they have to develop on that side, 100%. But everything else, yeah, you feel really good about on the offense, or at least on paper. Why not? I would be. I'm excited as hell for Grunkenmeyer. I mean, I just am. If I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. Yeah, and you know what? For me, this along those lines, And look, this is not an attack on Kyron Drones. He played hard, right? He played hard. But I'm telling you this, he didn't know how to be a quarterback. He didn't know how to play quarterback, to play the position. Ethan Grunkemeyer understands what it, in the short amount of time he's been on the field, he understands what it means to be a quarterback. And I think people understand what I'm saying. You can have a great athlete. You can have a guy who's, tough and has a bunch of physical skill, but if he doesn't know how to play the position or understand what it means, then you're not going to be successful. And I don't think Kyron Drones ever figured that out. It was silly of Brent Pry to ever think that was going to be the guy. I never understood he started 2 games at Baylor with mixed results. I know they were just basically saying potential. Market was heating up at that time. That's when all this stuff started happening with salaries and buying quarterbacks. So you were just looking at potential. But I don't think Kyron Drones understood what being a quarterback meant. And again, I'm not attacking the kid. He was a good kid. He came on the radio show, 2 or 3 times. And I thought he got the hell beat out of him last year, and he got up and he played, and you got to respect that, right? He made a lot of money at the time, especially. It just didn't work. He wasn't good. He just was not a good quarterback. He could go somewhere else maybe and be a different position someday if he wants to. I don't know. But now I feel like they have a guy who's a quarterback, and I think that makes a ton of difference. When Tech's been good, they've always had guys who understood exactly what being a quarterback meant. They've had some of the best leaders collegiately. But I go back to Tyrod and Brian Randall, Al Clark, Maurice DeShazo, Mike. I mean, they have guys who had unbelievable physical skill and athleticism, but they also had guys who understood their role in the offense, who were very cerebral. Jim Druckenmiller was an ox, right? Just unbelievable cannon of an arm. But he understood how to run a collegiate offense. Now, it didn't work when he went to the 49ers and he got blown away by Bill Walsh's but in college, though, he got it. And that's what it takes at this level. You got to have that guy. And Tech's had such a strong lineage of guys. But it's been a while at that position. We can tie in a lot of things to why Virginia Tech football has been bad now for as long as it has been, really since 2017, the end of that going forward. They haven't had that guy under center, have they? They've had some talented guys. They had guys that maybe didn't get enough time to develop, to play. They never could figure it out. Beyond Fuente's first season and most of the next season. After that, boom. Yeah, even Michael Brewer could manage a game. That's true. I feel like they have worked that out now. And because I'll have people come up to me. Well, heck, it happened. I got back to work on Monday from my honeymoon. And, man, you really that high on a guy who works at Radford? He's a season ticket holder. We have a lot of that crossover. Do you really think Druckenmeyer's going to be that guy? And I just looked at it. I said, well, yeah. I mean, I watched him play last year against some of the best defenses in the country. I saw a young guy who was learning, thrown into it. I said, you can go back and find the Indiana highlights. Go watch him play against the national champion. Right? And I think that's going to segue very nicely here in Blacksburg. I do. Yeah. Well, yeah, Brewer was the quarterback, but Bud Foster beat Ohio State. Matter of fact, when next week we have a loose date. I'm not going to tell you till we get it secure, but coach is going to be back he's out of the country. And then I want to get into that game. As brilliant as Coach Foster has been, and you can make the argument he's one of the 5 best defensive coordinators in the history of college football, at least top 10. What he did that night, Tebow, I think maybe his biggest masterpiece. That was his Beethoven's 5th, if you will. And Ohio State never saw it coming. He changed the entire way they played defense because of that personnel, and they never counter adjusted. They couldn't because he was always one step ahead. So I want to get into that. I think it'll be just a fascinating conversation. But I'll let you know. We're supposed to get a hold of each other this weekend. I think he's back Friday, Saturday. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then he wants to come on with Coach Elmo, and then I'm just gonna just get out of the way and let those guys just take over. I have been to Madison Square Garden. Yes, I have. It is the Grail arena of the NBA, you name it. Madison Square Garden is a special place. Yeah, I do too, Prometheus. I kind of feel like, especially here in year one, Grunkenmeyer can be the guy that can anticipate some inconsistencies due to personnel. I think that's true. I think that's true. Yeah, Tebow, you got to get the running game going. I mean, in the dozens and dozens of times Coach Beamer came on the original radio show, it always came back to, we can't run the ball, Rick. We got no shot. Everything we're thinking about is predicated on being able to get yardage between the tackles. And if we can't, then we have to try to adjust, and we don't have what it takes to adjust. I mean, he would be very forthcoming. And I think we talked about blocking and tackling never changes. You have to run the football. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's just time and tested. Tell me a team that doesn't run the football that doesn't win. Even if you have a great quarterback, even if you have some of the best receivers in the league or in the conference, you have to have an ability to run the football. You have to have at least one guy. You have to have a line that can take over up front. It changes everything. Good morning, Chris Lester. How are you? Chris Lester, you gray beard, you. JD Byers is going to join us from New York, by the way. Imagine how good we could be with a decent OL, Wayne says. Running backs, and with the running backs we've had the past 5 years who had to beat 4 players on defense before getting past the line. That's true. That's true. Oh, no doubt. Fuller and Faison, yeah. No doubt they did. No doubt. Yeah, but Chris, yours looks great, though. We've already talked about it. I know you don't like it, but, man, that was sharp. No reason. And apparently, from what everybody's telling me, the ladies love it. So, hey, man, if I'm you, I just keep rocking it. No reason we can't run the ball this year, Low Country says. The offensive line was good enough for Hawkins to average almost 8 a carry. We'll see. That's what I'm concerned about. I hope those guys end up being good up front. Because that'll make Grunkenmeyer even better, too. More effective. Tebow, why did my Eagles have such success and won the Super Bowl 2 years ago? Yeah, I mean, the Barkley connection. Now, you obviously had to have Hurts develop like he did, but there's no doubt what Saquon brought. It brought it all together. That's the best trade the organization ever made, right? Who are your greatest teams in the history of the National Football League? The Green Bay Packers, starting out, they won the first 2 Super Bowls. It was Jim Taylor, Lombardi's Packers sweep. All right? Pulling out the guard and just bringing those guys across and get the hell out of the way, Go into the 70s. Let's talk about it. The Miami Dolphins, when they were winning early. Who was it? It was Larry Zonka. It was Mercury Morris, Jim Kick. Let's get on through it now to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, yeah, Franco Harris and Rocky Blyer, Dallas Cowboys, Tony Dorsett, Emmitt Smith. You're not going to find one without it. The Redskins had Rigo. They had different guys who were their lead back. Broncos didn't win until they got Terrell Davis. 49ers had the most dynamic quarterback at the time, maybe in the league history, the most dynamic offensive mind leading it in Bill Walsh, but they had Roger Craig, didn't they? Tom Rathman, whoever those guys that they had up front, the best offensive line. I mean, you have to have that other side of it. Patriots, Tom Brady, to be sure, but they always had serviceable backs, right, that could get yardage, not stars. To run the aggressive defense like Bud and Brent, lockdown corners are a must. Correct. And we'll see if that's something that they actually have. I don't know. I'm trying to think, has there ever been a team that has won the Super Bowl where it was primarily just a passing team? I mean, the greatest show on turf, but they had Marshall Faulk, right? I mean, Kurt Warner, a lot of high-flying guys. We're almost at 60 Super Bowls now, right? Wow, that's hard to believe. We are at 60 Super Bowls, aren't we? Woo! It's a lot. I mean, the 90s Cowboys, it was all about the best offensive line, arguably consistently the league had ever seen put together. Patriots had a great offensive line. I mean, it all comes back to it. Got to run the ball, man. Lord Lester with the regal beard. I like that. Loved Coach Mabry's hat last week. Run the damn ball. Yeah, that was fun. I bet you in our Big Dog Pop debut, I bet Coach Mabry had like 15 guys talk about how great his hat was. That was a great hat. Great hat. But we'll see. It's all speculative now. This is what the fun stuff to talk about, right? Because we don't know. We haven't seen it. We'll start to see it here coming up. Work is still being done. But that's what the offseason is for. Talk about these things. Nobody knows, right? I mean, nobody can say absolutely one way or the other how it's going to work out. Again, that's why we have a scoreboard. That's why we have numbers attached to sports, because the numbers, yeah, sometimes they lie. They can be misnomers, but at the end of the day, they tell a pretty succinct story about a football team. And we will find out. We will find out. The Creed is making his way around my truck here, and he's getting ready to come in. Let me let him in. Don't want to miss JD Byers. He's with Toby Law in New York right now, and round 2 is coming up. We'll find out about Tech's roster. We got schedule update. We got a lot of stuff coming up with JD. You don't want to miss that. Let me go get Creed. Gorgeous out there. I mean, it is gorgeous outside. Wow. Feels like it's going to be a beautiful day. What do we got here? I don't think I've checked it out today. High 80, sunny. Doesn't look like it's too humid. Man, it looks great out there right now. Feels great out there, too. Oh, thanks, Gary. Appreciate it. I've just discovered your show a couple of months ago. Love it. Start my day with it every day. Thank you, Gary. On our text line, I'm a big Seminoles fan. What do you think about Florida State? Well, don't know yet. I know you're kind of in a tough spot. You know that. I think you employ a coach that you don't want there, but the economics have forced you to keep. And I think that's something we're going to see more of. It's obviously the last shot for Mike Norvell, whose program has not responded since it was completely unjustly left out of the playoff when they went 13-0. So there you go. Who is Popeye the Sailor Man with a rocking goatee? Oh, Chris is Popeye the Sailor Man. Right. Happy birthday, Gilberto. No, I will not sing. You don't want me to sing happy birthday to you. Yeah, we're going to start having a roving copter report again on the weather. It's nice out there right now. I'll tell you what. Some good vibes out there. Creed's honorary, so he must have gotten into something out there. Yeah. Darren says, can you play the old my guy? I haven't heard him in a while. Sure.
Oh my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
There you go, Darren. I like when people are making personal requests. Who are you, no care? Who the hell are you? Sorry. I'm Rick. It's Big Dog Sports Talk. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for finding us. Let me send Coach Byers his invite here. Tomorrow, David Smith, Andy Bitter, I believe, is finally back. And then Dwight Vick tomorrow. Oh, my guys, the Knicks in every fourth quarter in playoffs. That's true. That's true. The New York Knicks set an all-time NBA record. They were down by 29, and they win over the Spurs by 1.
Oh, my. Oh, no. Oh, no. That was out of nowhere.
Kenneth on the professional door text line. The trigger game we've talked about a lot for me is Maryland. Yes. Yeah. It'll be a tougher game than you think, but winnable if things are progressing nicely and you don't have a bunch of injuries. See, it's hard to talk about game 3 in because you don't know what the roster is going to look like. But on paper, the Maryland game is the first true test for James Franklin's first team. So, yeah. For a lot of different reasons. First road game, place that he was before. A desperate program in Maryland who is also retaining a coach, much like Florida State, strictly because of financial reasons. That's the one for me. I did not eat the moon pie, Rodney. That was a tease. On our honeymoon, we stopped in this ice cream place. It was unbelievable. And I found some moon pies over in a box, and I held one up. But I'm going to wait and still do the moon pie thing here on Big Dog Pop. That's going to happen. Yeah, P4 win out of conference is the way it's got to happen. Absolutely. Obviously, they're capable of winning it, and we don't know what Maryland's going to look like yet either. But as Chris just talked about, very talented team on paper. Big Ten game on the road. That's the team right there. That's the game for me. Keep it coming in chat. Everybody's great. Great, getting a lot of stuff on the professional door text line. Thanks to Keon and Chris Coleman joining us now from New York, where he's on Broadway. It's Virginia Tech men's basketball assistant coach J.D. Byers. What's up, Coach? Good morning.
What's going on? I don't think I'm on Broadway. I don't need to be on Broadway anyway.
Well, you're up there for a specific reason, don't you? And you've got some company up there with you in New York.
Yeah, exciting. Hopefully, exciting night. You never know with the way things go in the NBA draft, but excited for Toby and excited for our program tonight.
You would think the league would be idiotic not to take him tonight. I mean, there's so much he brings to the table. What in your mind? You've watched him develop up close and personal, Coach. What is it about Toby that gives him a real shot to be on an NBA roster next year?
I think the main thing, I mean, everybody talks about the athleticism, and that obviously pops for everyone when he gets in the gym and gets in front of people. But I just think his willingness to do whatever role is put in front of him. And, we have a league of a few superstars and a lot of guys that have to play a role to affect winning. And, his ability to defend and rebound, and he continues to develop as an offensive player. I think he's a great fit for the modern NBA game.
Feels like he is the quintessential roster piece, isn't he, for some team to be able to look down, some coach to go, all right, Toby, get out there. We need about 10, right? He just seems like that filler, that perfect guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then develop. I mean, that's what the league is really good at, is helping these guys take strides and get better at their game and continue to advance their roles. And he's a worker, so he's going to put in the time.
He is going to put in the time. So what's the vibe up there around the draft now that you're close to it this year?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Obviously talented. The top of the draft is super talented. I know a lot of people have talked about with NIL that a lot of guys are not going in the draft. They're staying in college. It's a lucrative opportunity to stay an extra year or so. But I think the top of this draft was really, really good, and still sitting there at the end of the first round and looking at some of those guys that went late, and there's some really good players. So it was exciting to be there last night, and super excited about tonight and Toby's opportunity.
Of course, a couple of ACC guys go in the top 4. You've had to prepare for both of them at some point. What do you like best about Boozer and Wilson?
Yeah, well, Wilson, we actually because he got hurt, we didn't get a chance to see him. Seeing him early in the year, though, super explosive guy that I think is well away from where his ceiling will be. So I'm excited. I think Boozer is he's just a great basketball player. I mean, people get, on this tangent about his athleticism or lateral quickness or whatever. I mean, that dude does everything. You watch him on film, he makes all the right plays. He makes all the winning plays. He finds a way to get it done. And, you talk about just his overall winning in high school and EYBL. That guy's going to bring a lot to Memphis, and he'll be a great player for a long time.
Were you surprised that Visar and Evans didn't go in the first round?
Certainly surprised seeing them up close and personal. They're really good. I think Isaiah's ability to stretch the floor with today's game and the way he can move and shoot. I mean, his release is ultra quick. And then Visar just as a stretch big. But you never know what goes into the process. You just don't know, and it comes down to sometimes needs at the end of the first round. And I think those guys will be off the board here quickly this evening.
Paul Hightower says hello, JD.
I'll tell Paul I said what's up.
Paul's great. All right, well, let's get down to you've been busy, you and Coach Young and everybody involved, right? In this era, you have to always know you're going to stay busy with your roster. First of all, the retention of some key pieces has to have you very excited about the upcoming season. Yeah,
I mean, that's the ultimate key right now is, can you retain your studs, your good players? And when we were able to retain 3 starters in Ben, Tyler, and certainly Amani Hansberry, that's off to a good start. And then you have to piece it together from there. And I think we've done a good job. And now we got to bring it together. It's not just putting the pieces together. We have to bring it together, and we're just in the infant stages of that. But like what we've seen so far, we're going to be vastly different than we were last year. And that's really the essence of college basketball now is, can you figure it out year to year of who you are and what's your identity and how are you going to make it work?
And those guys will be like they are around the country. Everybody will be kind of coming back and getting ready to rock and roll now, starting next week, right? At least I know it is for Radford next week. So.
Yeah, no, this is week 2 for us. So you get your 8 weeks, and we're trying to utilize them the best we can. And the main thing is get out of those 8 weeks and get back to the start of school with everybody on the court and everybody healthy. I mean, that's something we talk about all the time, and finding that balance between the competitive side of building your team and building that competitive nature, but also making sure that you have your full complement of guys when the ball goes up in November.
How much as this opportunity, Coach? I mean, you think you've done this a long time. When I first met you, it wasn't allowed to be able to do this with your team. No. You couldn't work with them. How much has this changed the game? It's just common sense that finally came into it that you guys can be with your teams now during these warmer months.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. They try to save us from ourselves of doing too much. And I remember one of my first days at Radford, John Edwards was down there by himself. We inherited John, and he was down by himself, like shooting fadeaway jumpers. And I'm like, John, you're not going to shoot many of those this year, but I'm glad you're down there working on them. But I couldn't even go down and say anything to him or watch him. So it has changed a lot, and they continue to tinker with it and, give you the ability now as a coach to decide how much time you want in the weight room with the strength coach, which is really important, how much time you want on the court to do your individual work. They don't, say that you can only have 4 guys in there anymore like they used to, and the other 4 guys have to stand outside the door and wait and can't listen, like just things that have really evolved. But, for us, I think it's key. It's really the start of the season. You could talk about practice starting in September. The start of the season is June, whatever your first day is. That's when you're rolling.
JD Byers joined us on the program, assistant basketball coach at Virginia Tech. So you had your checklist of things you needed, and you felt pretty good about it, right? All the boxes pretty much got checked with the personnel. Looking at some of the names that came through there with your roster, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I like our roster. I think what we tried to do is get as much versatility as possible. You talk about the new era of college basketball and injuries certainly playing a part. Like, it's no longer like I got 2 centers, 2 fours, 2, wings. Like you have to have guys that can play multiple positions, that you can move up and down the roster. I think we were able to do that. We have some smaller guards, so it's going to be different for us with Ben and Jalen. But we also have some wings in Isaiah Elohim and Tyler Johnson that are big and physical. So I think across the board, we like what we were able to do. But man, now it's putting it together and trying to pull out each guy's strengths and make it work.
Well, you've always been an outstanding recruiter, and you've been tireless, watching guys and finding guys. Not specific examples, but how have you, and when you go out now, how have you had to adapt to this new environment? I know you're accepted of, everybody has to be, right? So evolve or die, right? But sure. How have you personally gone about now, looking and embracing the new way of going out and approaching kids with the environment we're in?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a difficult process because at the end of the season, you spend a month or month and a half, purely looking at kids from the portal. And so you're watching college basketball film, and right now in most levels of college basketball, it's older than it ever has been. So you got guys that are physically ready to play, that have played college basketball, that are experienced. You got to change that eye now for when you go out and watch a high school kid, play in May or if they're playing in April in the first, shoe circuit events. Like you have to change your eye a little bit because you're trying to figure out if that young man can physically be ready to help you as a freshman, whatever that's going to be 15 months from the time you're watching them there. You're trying to figure that out. And so that has been a huge adjustment. It's no longer purely about the long-term plan of how much better a guy can get from when he walks on your campus in June to, the first game in November to league play in January. And then, that big freshman to sophomore jump that we generally see. You're no longer like purely looking at that. You got to find a freshman or so that can maybe help you right away. And that's where it's been much, much different. The long-term plan is by a lot of accounts right now is a lot harder to sell. And it's just a lot harder to wait on guys. But, we still want to have good freshmen in our program. That's still, you look at Ben and Tyler now being juniors, Amani, that was with Fraze when he was a freshman, those guys have really evolved and developed because they've been in the same gym or with the same people. And so it still matters. It still makes a difference.
Yeah, it's just got to be so difficult, like you say, to try to plan. You're right. I can only imagine what it's like every year when you're sitting around as a staff and you're like, okay, well, this guy's likely gone. We have a shot here. Now we have to. It's so difficult, isn't it? This new environment. It's got to be.
Yeah. I mean, and you see, it's why it's a lot of frustration, and it's not personal to anyone or personal to guys making money. It's just it's a much trickier system, and when you're talking about 10 new guys, 9 new guys, or whatever it is on some of our programs year in and year out, it's hard to have a system. It's hard to have a year-to-year plan. You have to get in the portal, find who, identify who fits you, not just as a basketball player, but also as a person, the community, all that. You got to figure out who they are, bring them in, add a couple pieces with them late, and then start planning of this is how we're going to play. This is what we're going to do defensively. And some of that you can't figure out until you actually get them in your own gym and watch them play and work with them and help them see if they can figure a couple things out. So it's a much later process when it comes to building your offenses and defensive schemes.
When those meetings happen with Coach Young and the staff, do you guys have a target group, or is it something where you say, hey, Coach, I just saw this kid, blah, blah, blah. What do you how does all that work now? Does that change? I'm sure that's the way I know it used to kind of be, but how about now when you go about it as a group?
Well, you're constantly just through different avenues trying to figure out who's available. It's once the guy hits the portal officially, which, you got to wait until they do to contact him or whatever. But once they officially hit the portal, that poor young man's phone and his agent's phone is, it's a lot. So, you're just constantly trying to figure out good fits for your program. I think when we were able to sort of bring those key pieces back, it limits your target market a little bit, and that happens because the rate of which guys are going in the portal and even surprises of guys going in the portal. It's a lot, and so just trying to limit our target group and get the best fits and the best players for the program. It's really the process.
Kids have always gotten bad advice through the years, one way or the other, right? With their handlers, with parents and so forth. Have you seen that increase now because there is the monetary value of some of the people that are around these kids? Or does that just not change a whole lot?
I don't think that's ever going to change. And look, not all bad advice is malicious.
Right.
Sometimes it's just, lack of information or lack of understanding. And that's just part of the game. I mean, it's human nature. If two places are close in terms of what they're offering and the money is a little higher at one of the places, that's usually what the decision is going to be. I think that's what we've seen. I think we have been able to get some guys who chose the fit over just purely money. And to be honest with you, when I think about those examples, those guys have been super successful. And what you hope is they're rewarded for those decisions, down the line, overall, that you're able to, as your university, able to reward them. And I think that, this thing it's as a coach, as a player, it's still about your production. It's still about your value and what you can bring to the table. So if you're not producing and you're not bringing value or you're not affecting winning, that to me, that's where your monetary value comes into play. And that's how you should get rewarded. But I mean, the information that's out there is not all accurate. The information these young men are getting is not all accurate. And, you do the best as a coach to give the information, and that's all you can do. You can't necessarily change someone's mind if it's made up about a certain issue.
Yeah, that's a great point. And how has the relationship part of it changed, or has it? I mean, obviously, Coach Young, everybody raves the kind of guy he is. I've known him a long time, and I know that's why you're at Tech, right? Because of a guy like Mike Young. Yeah. So, and I know how you are with players and how you try to get to know. How has that evolved one way or the other in this new era?
Yeah. I mean, the best way for a relationship to evolve is over time, organically, going through adversity. First it started with a long recruiting process, and then, helping them adjust from the time they step onto campus until, you get into workouts, you play your first game, you lose a tough one, you celebrate wins. You have days where they're in your office and something at home has gone bad, and man, there's an emotional moment. To me, that's where relationships are built and trust is built. And obviously getting down on the court and working one-on-one, which I think is where a lot of this starts. So a lot of those steps are skipped. And that's where the relationship, becomes quote unquote transactional. And that's what we all fear as coaches is we don't really want a transactional relationship. We're not going to be able to get the best out of that young man. It's hard for them to get to us for us to be able to give them our best, because we don't know quite as well what can help them or what detracts from their progress. And so, I mean, Coach Young is things with him are very organic. He doesn't like to force things. It's day after day, stacking the reps. That's why has been so good offensively, because teams just keep getting better and they keep working on small things and it comes together. And it's the same thing with a relationship. So I think we're all struggling with that. That's been a personal struggle of mine. But you got to do it quicker. The guys that can be successful are the guys that are going to drop that whole, this is what it is. And they're going to say, okay, how do I make this work? And so you got to have more communication. You have to, you have to find different ways to get to these guys so you can help them. I mean, because that's our ultimate goal is to help them so they can be successful and ultimately the team can be successful.
Well, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now that I hear you explain it, Coach, I mean, you're right, because you're used to the more impersonal part or the personal part of it. And then all of a sudden, if it just comes down to, hey, I know a little bit about, but here, this is what you're right. That's got to be kind of like okay, we don't want that. I know it. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Trying to avoid that if you can.
Yeah. Well, coming up, and I know you're busy also, on the other hand, of putting together this home schedule for Virginia Tech.
Oh,
right?
man.
And we had one coach that gave us a review last week, and Dottie Lynn, and a good friend of yours. And I just found out Monday that the Highlanders are going to be back in Blacksburg. When does that process start? Let people know about the scheduling, man. I know you've been doing it a long time. So,
well, this was year one of my scheduling, and Kevin Giltner,
really?
Kevin Giltner took the Wofford job in whatever it was, October of this year, and Coach brought me in and said, JD, I have great news for you. You're now in charge of the Hokie schedule. So everybody's either going to love me or hate me. I don't think all the contracts are quite to the finish line. We're working on them. But, the Iowa game, neutral game, which not so neutral, was released yesterday. We got another Big 12 opponent that we're going to play in a neutral site. We got a Big 12 opponent we're going to start a home and home with. So the schedule is a beast, but piecing that together is difficult. When you put a post online, man, I've gained a lot of new contacts in my phone of coaches that I didn't know. And the relentlessness, if they recruit as hard as they recruit for scheduling, I mean, those texts come in at all times. But it's been a great learning experience for me. We have a cool schedule, and I'm excited for our guys to have some really great games this year.
Well, I know when you're at Radford doing all that, and you guys are working together the schedule, you kind of had a vision for the schedule, right? Yeah, you need to go out and make some money, but you wanted certain types of opponents. Has that evolved through all this as well, or is that part of it kind of stay the same because you're trying to, obviously improve your team and so forth?
The problem is you're scheduling games and you don't know who they have on their roster. You don't know who's coming back. That to me was the hardest thing. So I think scheduling's got a little bit later. Guys aren't as early putting their schedule together because you don't know until you can start to put your team together. Most of us don't know. And so that's probably been the biggest change. We still have, want to get a couple neutral games, want to get in an MTE if we can. You want to get a home and home. And then, you want to get your games, where you can bring some opponents to Castle. So it's still structurally the same, but how you go about it has changed a lot.
So now is the best case scenario. If you can have it done by the end of July, you're probably ahead of the curve. I mean, we're looking at
I celebrated when I was done. I did. I was happy. And now I'm just waiting for these contracts to get signed because the language in the contracts and a whole bunch of stuff that I don't know anything about. But I'm the middleman, so I got to make sure it gets done.
Exactly. Well, you will. You will. There's not an I that's never been dotted or a T crossed by you, my friend. This I know.
Try, brother. I try.
So what's going to happen today in New York? What are you guys? How are you going to spend the day before you get back there later?
I'm gonna get a workout in this morning. That's my first goal because I had 2 nice slices of pizza last night. So I'm gonna get my workout in. Do some work around here. A good friend of mine who was actually Toby's mentor is in town from England. So I'm going to go spend some time with him and hopefully get over there as close to 8 o'clock as possible and pray everything goes well. I think he's going to be good regardless. It'd be wonderful to hear his name called. The story is pretty cool because 5 years ago, no one would have ever thought this young man had a chance to play in the NBA. So really excited for him and, just really want to be here to support him. Coach will be in town, which I think is huge. So it'll be a great night and a good day in New York City.
No, it'll be great. Yeah, I hope that happens indeed for him and for you in the program. It will be great, and he'll sit around today. Maybe he'll get some insight, maybe not, but hopefully we'll hear that name tonight. So,
no, sometimes this stuff is done beforehand, but there also could be 30 trades and a whole bunch of other stuff that goes down. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, brother, listen, man, thank you for jumping on. This is great info, and I know people have been eager to hear about the roster. I know you guys are pleased, and it's an exciting time. It never stops anymore. We're always going.
It doesn't. It doesn't. It is never going to, so just accept it and move on.
How was Father's Day for you and the clan, by the way?
Oh, they're in Orlando. Marcy's down there recruiting, takes the kids with him, and spends a couple days at the park. So I spent my Father's Day solo, but everything was good. I got a good video chat from them in the morning, and I look forward to seeing them Sunday when I get back from recruiting.
There you go. Hey, you got the Father's Day. Got to sit around and watch U.S. Open. That couldn't be too bad for you. I know you're a huge golfer.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Well, all right, brother. Safe travels, man. Always great to visit with you. Thanks for coming on, and please give our best to Toby. I hope it goes well for him tonight.
Appreciate you, Rick.
All right, brother. Take care, man. We'll talk soon. All right. Great stuff. J.D. Byers, assistant basketball coach at Virginia Tech. How great was that, huh? JD's great. He's a great person, but he's a really, really good coach. And he's relentless out on the recruiting tour and talking to kids and always working with kids. He's going to be a great head coach sooner than later. And I'm looking very forward to the day. I'm glad he's in Blacksburg. I'm glad he's here, but I can't wait to get the text, or I hope I get a text or call. Hey, guess what? Because it's going to happen, and he's going to be terrific. But you see the way you have to embrace it, man. That's great stuff, man. We have an idea of how things go, and how things look because you're around it. I'm around the basketball part of it more from my job, so I kind of get a little bit more insight. But boy, that constant battle, right? It's just that constant, just kind of a fist just right into your midsection. And I thought that was a great point. You don't want this to become just transactional. That's a great point. That's a great way to say it, right? You still want to nurture as much of a relationship as you can. You don't want to just come down to always. Unfortunately, sounds like that's pretty much, that's happening way too much, which we know. He has that scratch voice. Like he did kind of sound like Steiny a little bit, didn't he? Low country, possibly Virginia Tech's next head coach. Well, whoever gets him is going to be very fortunate. J.D. Byers is going to be outstanding. I mean, he got to Radford. I mean, Mike Jones just raved. I mean, that guy, he was always going. Always going. He never gets tired. He's just got so much energy. Yeah, he's going to be a terrific head coach. Terrific head coach. But good stuff, man. And that takes you inside the draft. It takes you inside all these different things that you hear about. You go to X, you watch. Now you kind of got a little bit more. That's what these unbelievable people that come on this program, that make this program, along with you, I learned just like you. It's so cool. And now you can think about Toby today. He's going to be hearing from his agent. He's going to be hearing all the scuttlebutt, all these calls, all these different things, right? And he may even know before he gets there exactly where he's going to go and who's going to take him. And I hope that's the case. He's worked very hard from his VCU days to get here. And you talk about relationships. Well, it's pretty clear the kind of relationship that Virginia Tech's coaches have with Toby Lawal. They wouldn't be there now. Mike Young, he just said showing up in town for it, which maybe is an indicator that they've gotten some news. I didn't want to put him on the spot, right? I feel pretty confident. I hope I can be saying tomorrow, hey, look at that. Look at that guy. He went to so-and-so with pick number whatever. And if you're a Tech fan, it's great to see Virginia Tech's logo up there on the basketball side about a guy being drafted, right? So, yeah, good stuff. And we'll see how it happens. We'll see how it happens today. Thanks once again to all of our sponsors, the NRV Super Bowl, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, Sundown Electric, Professional Door Incorporated, ReadySetFund.com, National Bank, member FDIC, the attorney Ryan Pry with their BDST fan question of the week, Little River Heating and Air, presented every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment, National Bank, my exclusive banking partner, our studio, McClellan Chiropractic, Top Shelf Apparel, I don't believe I left anybody out. Little River Heating in there. I think that's everyone. Yeah, to have Toby in the slam dunk competition. Yeah. Yeah, I think the line was during the game, KB came and Toby Lawal came in out of nowhere. He kind of rebounded a miss and just tomahawked it. And I said, where in the world did he come from, KB? And he says, Rick, I think he left from Manassas or something like that down in Richmond. Great athlete. And you think about how badly Tech missed him when he was hurt. I mean, you had to quantify every result by, well, they didn't have Toby Lawal and what a difference he made. So I hope all the extracurricular things he brings to the table physically will be noticed and be represented tonight by reaction from NBA front office somewhere. That's what you hope, to say the least. But it's good stuff. Good stuff. But please always subscribe, like, and share the channel. We're growing every day. The Tuesday show yesterday had about 650 actual live views, and then after you watch rewatches, we were well over 1,200 views just of a random Tuesday show. Crazy. So keep that in mind, sponsors, potential sponsors. You're getting a lot more worldwide exposure now here on YouTube, as opposed to just the audio part of it. But learned a lot today. All right. KB, Chris Coleman's always great. And JD Byers. Tomorrow, I know we'll have, it's my division day with David Smith, the AFC West. See if he's kind to my Broncos. Andy Bitter and Dwight Vick. And I don't know if anything's going to happen in between that or not. We'll see. I might do some late show editions today. We'll see. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you're sitting around like, you know what? That guy would be good. Or that gal would be good. Let's try that. But we'll see as we meander on through the week here. Don't forget, the bash is set for the 18th. What did you send me, Morris? Let me give people some more information. All right, so we're going to have an appetizer menu. We're going to have maybe a party tray or two. Morris is going to help out with the drinks. We're going to be in the banquet room that night. Coach Elmo's coming. That's confirmed. Trying to get Jen to come. We'll give her a hard time. But it's going to be awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I might do that if the U.S. wins. They play soon, don't they? Who we got? We got Turkey. Ooh, 10 p.m. tomorrow night. It's not a bad idea. Maybe get the dub in the next game. Maybe we can get a soccer guy on here. Get Neil on here. We could get Neil on here and give him a hard time. Because Neil's watched every match but one. Thank you, Chris. It is. The insight it's unreal what you learn from these folks. And I value each and every one. It's awesome. But like I say, you have an idea, and we have people who are very smart that know, but boy, when you hear it, you see it, you can kind of just envision it, and you feel that struggle and how the process goes. You know, it gives you a realistic take as opposed to some of the things that's written about and shown. And this tells you exactly the things we talk about that, come to fruition or how it works out, the things that you hear, the things that people you can trust. I told you on Monday we'd get the decision about the Tech athletic director, and then it happened later that day. Not necessarily the manner in which it was going, but it still happened. Talked about Major League Baseball's issue. Day later, they issue a national worldwide apology about their complete bias against one certain religion. No self-awareness whatsoever. None of the baseball writers, by the way, decided to take that up. They so worried about their access. They're not going to write about anything that matters. They're just going to keep talking about, I don't know, whatever it might be that nobody cares about. No Dave Matthews on the jukebox all night. That's not happening at the Bash. Somebody could put it on their phone, though. We got to get Ron Shelburne out there. I think Ron's coming. We got to get Mark Hundley out there. Mark can help everybody out immediately if you have a back issue because of the bowling ball. But I hope you can come out. We're going to have fun. Just meet everybody, see everybody, and have a good time. Wayne, I'm concerned you know so many names of Dave Matthews songs. It kind of makes me think maybe you're a closet fan. I mean, yes, here's what Wayne probably does way too often. He shows up at Panera by himself. Can't even blame it on his wife. With his earbuds on, he's listening to a Dave Matthews Spotify channel. Oh, Torn. Oh, I'm sorry. I have my glasses on. Torn. Sorry. Well, Natalie Imbruglia is not much better. She may have been more appealing to observe with the eye, but thanks, everybody. Good stuff today. Thanks, everybody who contributed in chat, text line, all of our sponsors, all of our great guests. We'll be back tomorrow on the Thursday edition. I hope we made your hump day slide over a little better. I know you made mine. Take care. Thanks to our guests again. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Don't forget, we'll have shorts up after the show on the channel. You can go back and watch some of your favorite segments from today's program. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.